The Volkswagen Golf.
1985 Motor Trend Car of the Year.
2013 World Car of the Year.
2020 Car and Driver 10 Best.
The Volkswagen Golf and GTI by association have a rich history of being touted as a driver's car. In 2020, I was looking to replace my Ford Focus ST, but since that car wasn't in production anymore, I figured why not try out the legend of hot hatchbacks, the GTI. On paper, this car is a good performer. 0 to 60 in 6.2 seconds, thanks to the 228 horsepower engine that produces 258 pound-feet of torque from 2,000 to 5,000 RPM. When tested on the track, this car will perform as well, if not better, than the Focus ST did. However, in normal day-to-day driving on public roads, that performance won't always be there. In fact, I've come to accept that this car will typically deliver half-hearted acceleration by default. It's the biggest of the three problems I find with this car. Let's step back and remember that we drive the car using three inputs: gas, brake, and steering. Yes, the transmission is one of those inputs, but since most cars sold in the US today are automatic, we'll consider that something that's just a set it and forget it. I would argue the most important input is that gas pedal, because that's what makes the car go and become a form of transportation. All of the other inputs and accessories are justified because the car is being used to go somewhere. Without it, this would just be an air-conditioned box with a phone charger. Yes, the advertised performance will be there when you accelerate hard from a standstill, but I'm not going to be at a standstill when I'm stuck behind a Toyota Prius that's driving 20 miles per hour under the speed limit as we're both about to merge on a highway. It's at that exact moment that I need to get moving. And unfortunately, it's the time where the GTI adds insult to injury. It won't give me the power unless all of the conditions are just right. Conditions like coolant temperature, outside air temperature, how fast I press on the gas pedal. I don't know what the ideal ranges for these are, but I do know that they don't line up during normal day-to-day driving. Let's do an experiment and compare this car to the 2017 Lincoln MKC that's being driven by my devilishly handsome test clone. This MKC uses the same turbocharged 4-cylinder that the Focus ST had, and it outputs the same power too, but it weighs 600 pounds more. So if the GTI really did keep up with the Focus, it shouldn't have a problem outperforming this heavier SUV. Each car will start at 20 miles per hour in second gear and accelerate full throttle for 5 seconds. I'll graph speed, G-force, and engine load, which indicates how much of the engine's power we're getting, and then compare the two. I'll start with the GTI. 20 and go. The GTI reached 49 miles per hour, hit half a G of acceleration, delivered 91% engine load. And now the MKC. Here we go. The MKC reached 52 miles per hour, hit half a G of acceleration faster, delivered 99% engine load. So the GTI held some power back even though my foot was to the floor. I did 4 more test runs and it never gave more than that 91% engine load, unlike the MKC, which was always higher and typically around 99%. As the driver of these vehicles, you feel the difference. The G-force in the GTI was more shallow, as opposed to the punch packed by the MKC. And ultimately the speedometer tells the truth. The SUV was faster than the hot hatchback, despite being heavier and having a larger aerodynamic footprint. Based on those speed differences in this comparison, the MKC would have at least been a full car length ahead of the GTI after 5 seconds. If you want to see a side-by-side take place to see if this is how it really plays out, be sure to leave a comment below and like and subscribe. It's disappointing because the engine's potential is there and you feel it in the random scenarios where everything lines up. But second gear is definitely a black hole for this car, and that 2,000 to 5,000 RPM power band isn't going to pull it out of it. I think the Volkswagen engineers were confronted with a difficult choice. Either they had to choose good emissions and fuel economy or better performance. They chose to be fuel conscious. And that makes sense because this car was released 5 years after the Volkswagen emissions scandal. The repercussions from that event would have been at the forefront of their minds when designing this car. But that doesn't excuse the results of this so-called hot hatch. Imagine if the brake pedal had the same level of poor responsiveness that the accelerator did. You would be furious if this car withheld stopping potential at the moment you needed it most because it was designed to prioritize brake pad wear over stopping power. The other design choice I take issue with involves this door and how it opens. At the first stop, it's only 11 inches from the inside door seal to the armrest. That's a real shallow opening. And to demonstrate, I'll show you how this 10-inch plate moves in between that thin space. Now that's just enough wiggle room to get a dinner plate in and out, but I imagine it's very challenging for the average adult. At least I know it is for me, and it's extremely hard if I have a laptop bag or drink carrier in my hand. Unless I open it all the way, at which point it sticks way too far out, 38 inches from the edge of the car, typically invading the next parking space. At the end of the day, I'm in constant contact with this door. If I leave it to the first door stop, then I'm going to be rubbing against it. And if I go beyond that, I need to hold the door so it doesn't swing into the car next to me. The last complaint that I have deals with the battery. The 280 cold cranking amp battery this car originally came with was undersized in my opinion. Motorcycles have more powerful batteries than that. No wonder this one didn't make it to 3 years of ownership. And the fact that the original battery is now discontinued tells me this may have been a value engineering choice that didn't hold up over time. The 2020 GTI is a good show horse, scores well with the judges, but as a workhorse, don't count on it to always pull its weight. Not like this playful beauty. Check out the video of my follow-up discussion with my friend Paul, or for something different, my video on why 10 microns is a big problem for the Cybertruck.